Hey there, I wanted to talk to you about something. I wrote a series on Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I'm Nina Perez, and it was about is your mind still in Egypt? And I wanted to talk about how sometimes our minds stay back there. It stays in places we shouldn't be anymore, that we should be moving forward. So I was doing this series, and I came across the story of Joseph, right? So Joseph was the son of Jacob. So it's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the lands, were and the blessings were promised to them. And so Joseph, even though that he was the one that his brothers threw in a ditch and sold him to slavery, and he was arrested and accused of rape. I mean, he just went through so many things. He ended up, because of God's blessing and covering over him, he ended up being like the second in command in Egypt, right? And so Joseph was, pretty powerful, but he was also promised, prosperity in the land from his father Jacob. But now he was in Egypt, and he had a wife in Egypt and children in Egypt. So he got accustomed to being there. And when rose to power, his brothers didn't know that he was powerful. Neither did his father. They thought he was dead, actually. And Joseph had a lot of trials and tribulations, but he always loved and served God regardless of that. And that gave him the tendency that he needed always to overcome. He had a lot of favor in his life from God. Even the enemy knew better than to go against him because of God. But somewhere there was a disconnect, right, in the generations. And in Exodus 1 6 and 7, it says, Now Joseph to all his brothers and all the generations died, but the Israelites exceedingly fruitful, they multiplied greatly and increased in numbers and became so numerous that the land filled with them. So after their brothers had come to get food, right, from Egypt, Joseph, long story short, forgave them, had them come to the land. They became very prosperous. And so all the generations ended up staying in Egypt, but they weren't supposed to. Only thing is that they were thriving there, so they didn't want to go back. Why am I saying all of this? Because, there's promises that God has made us to bless us and not harm us. He has purposes and plans for our lives. And sometimes we forget who we are, and we forget the promises of God. And when Joseph died, the people stayed in the land. They actually stayed in the land, and the truth is that that land was supposed to be, you know, a temporary place, and they should have stayed. So, in Exodus 1 8 through 10, it says that a new king came. So the new king came, and to whom Joseph meant nothing. Can you believe that? So Joseph worked with the first king, and the first king honored him because he interpreted the dream, which saved the land and then some. But the new king did not know Joseph. He meant nothing to him when he came to power. So he said, Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become way too numerous for us. Come, let's deal shrewdly with them, and they will become even more. If we don't, they'll become even more numerous. If war breaks out, they will join the enemies, fight against us, and leave the country. The new king, whom I keep saying Jesus, Joseph meant nothing. What? Why wasn't the king aware of the blessings that Joseph had done for the land? And why was he not afraid to come against Joseph, knowing that Joseph was a man of God? I mean, did they become too much like the Egyptians? Where there's no difference, no distinction between the Israelites and the Egyptians, so they didn't even see that they were blessed? Was there no obvious power or authority in their lives at all for being children of the one true God? Something tells me that not only did the new king not know or care for Joseph, but neither did this generation of Israelites. Somewhere along the way, they forgot who they were. And so the enemy was able to come down and deal shrewdly with them. See, when the enemy sees an opportunity to deal shrewdly with you and your family, he will take it. And the enemy knows how powerful we really are, especially when we are supporting each other. So, loving each other and supporting each other is ideal, and it's one way that we will overcome. So, for this new year, I want you to start reading the Word and knowing who you are and whose you are. Surround yourself with people that will lift you up and not bring you down. Surround yourself with people that see your vision with you. If they don't, that doesn't make them bad people. That just doesn't make them right for you. So that is my little tidbit for today for 2018. And I hope that, you know, like Joseph, who was blessed, he knew he was loved by God. But you need to know where you're going, what you're supposed to be doing, and who you belong to, so that the enemy cannot deal shrewdly with you. This is Nina Perez, Straight Talk, No Sugar Added.